And we're on. Let's try this again, Jill. That was the first time we had to do a redo. Can you hear me? You have no volume. Can't hear a word you're saying. Are you muted?
Nope.
Oh, now you're good. Now I can hear.
Yeah, I think this is cutting out.
Okay, so this week in the Grotto, episode 11. This is part 3 of our series, which we are going to cover nutrition. Part 1, we covered lifestyle. Part 2, we covered exercise. Today, we're going to cover nutrition. This is all going to coincide with our spring lean program, lifestyle, exercise, and nutrition, which we'll be launching in a few weeks. But before we get to our topic, we have another You Evolve Buffalo keychain that we need to give away, like we do every week. This week's winner is Scott Spungen. He left us a Facebook review that reads, if you really want a great challenge, meet great people, and have awesome instructors, this is the place for you. So thank you for the great review, Scott. Again, which we've talked about when going over past reviews, I think one of the great things is that it doesn't even really reference you or I. You know, he references the other people that come to the Grotto. So obviously his experience has been fantastic, working and meeting the new people there and our instructors, Allie, Vanessa, Meg, and Maureen, and now Angel Swikowski, who is doing yoga. Her business is Move Buffalo, and the last couple months we've had her come in and instruct some beginner yoga, and we happen to have Angel on twice in our April schedule.
Yes.
So I took her class again last week that she did at You Evolve Buffalo, and I can't say enough good things about it. I really enjoy it. I enjoy how I feel afterwards. It's a great stretch. It's simple, something that I can follow, that, you know, basic poses. Even if you don't know anything about yoga, I can almost guarantee that if you've done any type of stretching, maybe even unknowingly, you've done warrior 1 pose, warrior 2 pose, a little downward dog, tree pose. You know, you might not know the names of them, but they're very, very basic but effective stretches. And if I can handle it, I think most people can, because I'm not the most flexible person in the world. And I was actually, my shoulder flexibility was really exposed in one of the poses that we were doing. I was having a real hard time with it. But which is good. It brought it to my attention, and now I can work on correcting those things. So excited to have Angel and Move Buffalo coming back to the Grotto for a couple more yoga classes in April. I'm definitely going to try to attend both if my schedule allows. On that note, we do have a little bit of bad news. You Give Buffalo's March charity event was canceled. It was the Fight for Air Climb. As with most things, you know, all the cancellations of gatherings and events, it was just one in a long line of cancellations. So we'll keep everybody updated on the April You Give Buffalo event once we get more details. And of course, you know, like everything's kind of fluid. We have to take it kind of day to day.
We're on an hour basis, honestly. Don't you just feel like I feel like every hour something is popping up, so we're just rolling with it.
Yeah.
With just real quick, we did have with all of the people who were signed up, they are looking to reschedule it. So even though it's not happening on the 21st, it is looking to be rescheduled, but we did have very successful collections from the participants that were signed up on our end, like through our team. I think Mel, I think that Mel and Charlie, between the two of them, I think maybe raised almost $3,500, $4,000, if I'm recalling correctly. And that was just the two of them. So, you know, it was, I would still say, a pretty successful collection and on that end, just unfortunately, the time being, we're unable to participate in the actual event. So
We have, at the end of March, we will be kicking off our spring lean program. It's an 8-week program that if any people register for the program, not only do you participate with your 8 weeks of training with the group that you registered for, but you get unlimited classes at U Evolve Buffalo during the duration of those 8 weeks. So it's kind of a smoking deal. We have an online Facebook accountability group page for everybody to participate in. And, you know, in keeping with today's topic of nutrition, as part of that program, we do talk about nutrition, and we do try to help you achieve optimal nutrition per your goal. And we're very fortunate that I think the people that join this program, along with the people that come to Evolve Buffalo, it's not just always about weight loss. A lot of people have achieved the weight loss that they were looking for through the lean program, and now are either in a maintenance phase or are looking to accomplish different goals, whether it's strength goals or just looking to recomposition their body, take on different physical challenges, participate in different activities, obstacle course training, running, weightlifting. So we can help you with those goals along with this program. So it's not just in that narrow channel of just weight loss. Although if weight loss is your goal, we absolutely can help you with that too. We've done everything as far as one of our participants in the lean program is going to be competing in her first bikini competition. Again, because of the circumstances, that show, at least for now, has been, the event has been postponed, I will say, which is really unfortunate for all the competitors because they've worked insanely hard. But there might be a light at the end of the tunnel. The promoter announced today that there is a possibility of the show being rescheduled in some form or capacity to the following day. The show is supposed to take place on Sunday, March 21st. We're awaiting details and confirmation to see if a rescheduling date of March 22nd for the Can-Am.
Also on that Sunday.
Yeah, possibly. Nothing's confirmed yet, but the competitors were notified that it's looking, he's optimistic that it might be rescheduled. He reached out to me to see if I'd be available to help set the show up, and, you know, probably like, even if it's just setting up chairs or lights or whatever, which I would absolutely do. So that's, and I was talking with Jerry Marcello, the promoter, yesterday, and I did a live video with him last week talking about the show, ironically enough. And I can't imagine the amount of pressure that he's under to try to put a show together in now 7.5 days in a different venue. And there's just so many moving parts and things to consider. But I told him, I said, if anybody's going to pull this off, Jerry, it's going to be you. I know if
not a doubt in my, there's not a doubt in my mind. If there's anybody that could do it, it is absolutely him. He's so, just his attention to detail is so fine that there's just not a question. I mean, and furthermore, if he needs any help too, I mean, we were going to be going to Myrtle Beach. So if there's any setting up anything that I could offer up, I'd be more than willing to help him out too. Cause
yeah, I think it's more of, you know, with everything that's going on, it's just getting clearance and making sure that people can gather in the space and capacity. And like I said, if it was normal circumstances, no problem, you know, it would be able to, you know, really all hands on deck and pull this off. But there just might be,
there's red tape. There's red tape. Yeah.
So if not, though, if for whatever reason that it can't happen, I know that Kristen, the competitor, and myself are strategizing about doing another show in a couple weeks, which is like, I feel so bad for
I
her, you
I
know?
did. As soon as, so I mean, it just seemed yesterday was a very difficult day, I think, for a lot of people. You hear all the stories of the disappointments that they face, and even, Bella had her competitions. And honestly, the person that and the people that I feel the most for right now are the competitors.
Yeah,
Like, and I mean, and even like the collegiate athletes. There's some people, this was their last college season as in that sport. Softball's canceled. I mean, there's plenty of them, but from a competitor standpoint, especially, it's that process is just so it's it's draining. It's exhausting. It's you have to be so focused and to be to where you are literally at the finish line. It's like you're literally at the finish line, and then they're like saying, well, no, you actually got to go around one more time.
yeah.
It reminds me of, I ran the half marathon, and there was a portion of it, and I didn't know where exactly I was when I was running. And I remember being like someone next to me, I go, how much further do we have? They go, we just got to go through this and around the corner. So I took off like a bat out of hell because I was like, oh my God, we're almost done. Nope, we had to go around an entire other block. You know that there's that like block at the very end of the half. I'm not sure if you're, yeah, it's because it's right where it intersects. Before the intersection of
I
you
know
go
where,
straight finish, you know what I'm talking about?
yeah,
And it was like that kind of thing where it's just like you're almost there, and it's like, well, we're just gonna divert for a little bit. So I really I think maybe the most, at least in the people that I know, felt for her because I remember too competing and just being like, it's almost peak week. It's almost peak week. We're almost there. We're almost there. I actually had sent her a message, you got this, keep going. You're almost there. And then, and then all of this happened. And I'm like, so you're almost there.
yeah.
It's just, it's all craziness, but I'm really glad to hear that. And I know Jerry's obviously working hard, and hopefully something will
We'll pop.
come about. And
So we'll wait and see,
yeah,
business as usual until then. And just on a side note, I don't want to turn the podcast all about, current events because we can,
sure.
that's a podcast in and of itself. But just so everybody does know, it is business as usual at U Evolve Buffalo. We're just stepping up our game like everybody else is, being extra conscious of, cleaning. And I got to jump on purchasing all the paper products and stuff early, which now at the time I was kind of being grumpy about it, being like, oh my God, I can't believe I reluctantly went out last week and we stocked up on the toilet paper and paper towels and Kleenex and the cleaning products. And now I'm like, whoa, kind of glad I did that then, because now obviously those things are, in high demand and kind of hard to come by at the
Yeah,
moment, at least. So at least we know we're very well covered for quite a while on that. So there's no issue there. And, we always really were conscious of keeping the place tidy and clean. And actually, took a lot of pride in that and got a lot of compliments from it in the past too. People just, recently said, hey, I just want you to know I appreciate how, clean and everything this place is. Some of the other places I go to, the box gyms are just, some of them are gross.
yeah,
And they are, some of them.
they are. I won't throw the place under the bus, but
No,
I was walking on the treadmill and I looked down and I was like, that's rough.
yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to throw shade on any other gyms or whatever, especially a
Sure.
big gym. It's hard, even a space our size.
Oh yeah, to keep up with it.
I was there for hours yesterday, after, and I do this every week. I take, we clean up every day, everything gets clean, but then I try to do once a week or once, every 4 or 5 days, a more like deep clean, where I'm cleaning the feet of the benches and under the benches, and all the plates get, because there's chalk and it's tough. And so now you take a size like ours and multiply that by 10, a big box gym.
Oh, sure.
It's going to have its challenges to keep it, you're not going to be able to keep it immaculate, a place of that size. But when I went yesterday to the place I normally go to, besides if I work out at the Grotto, I'm like, wow. And of course, this place is kind of notoriously a little grimy. So I was, I'm sure they probably stepped up their game and whatever. They did it. I'm like, oh my God, they're not even trying. They're not even trying. Everyone's like, the people behind the desk are like just standing around. I'm like, the people that were working out there, everybody had their stuff cleaning up after themselves. I always bring a towel or a rag and cleaning up after myself. The people that work there were like, you would think there was no issue going on because they were. I'm like, oh no.
The problem, though, I mean, really, when it comes down to it, is that's the same. If it's the same place that I'm thinking that I go to too, that's always the way it is. That's their normal behavior.
That's what I mean. I thought they would have stepped it up a little bit, and like, no, they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, and this might not age well, but I'm personally, I'm not overly concerned about any of this business. I'm hoping that it passes, but we're going to be, we have to do our part and be proactive. So
sure,
that's what we're going to do, because obviously our health and our customers' health has to come number one. I mean, we're in the business of that, so we can't.
Absolutely.
And we have older people. We do have people that come there with compromised immune systems.
Yeah.
So, in everybody's best interest, we're going to continue to do the best that we can. We'll leave it at that.
Sure.
This Sunday. So this will be uploaded on Friday. So in 2 days, we are going to be going Facebook Live Sunday night at 5 p.m. Probably between 5 p.m. give or take a little bit. And we will be joined, it will be Jill and myself, and we'll be joined by a friend of mine, Joe Goretti, who is a world-renowned drummer. He studied at Berklee College. He's done world tours with Moby. He's played on Saturday Night Live. He's been on some of those morning Today shows. He's a teacher. He's been in Modern Drummer magazine. I can go on and on and on with all his accomplishments. Most importantly, he's a super cool. He's just a great guy. One of the best guys I know. He's awesome. Longtime friend. I've known him since we went to high school together. He's going to be joining us. Jill, myself, and Joe are going to put together a playlist of the 10 best workout songs each. So we'll each have our own playlist of 10 songs. We're going to go over them one by one, review the songs. We're going to hash it out over whose set list is better or why the other person stinks. And then we are going to post the playlist on Spotify so people can check them out for themselves. And we'll let the people decide. We'll have a vote on it, who's came up with a better playlist. And then we're going to take those 10 songs and we're going to add it to our ever-expanding Grotto for the People playlist that we've been building on the last couple months. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, people are encouraged to interact, give their opinions, throw their 2 cents in, let us know.
Yeah, you didn't need to give people permission. They would just, that's not something people need permission for.
No, but I think it'll be fun. And you're definitely going to want to check out Joe. Good, interesting, fun guy. And to see a real, true musician's perspective on what makes a good workout playlist. So I'm really interested to see what he comes up with. And then going forward, I'd like to do more of that with other musicians or maybe DJs. So if anybody out there that's listening is a musician or DJ themselves or knows somebody, husband, wife, friend, get them in contact with us, and we'll be happy to do the same thing. We'll go head to head with our playlist versus a professional and see what we come up with. Last thing before we get into the topic of the day, at least on my end, unless you have something else, Joe, that you wanted to cover, we are exploring new formats of media besides the usual YouTube and Facebook. We're working on a different platform that I'm optimistic about, and I'm hoping that we can get up and running with a lot of new and creative content for everyone. A couple issues. I know friends of mine that have been on Facebook who have posted things. Maybe it was, I think it might, more than likely, it was probably something political along those lines. And they were notified that the Facebook fact checkers gave them like a warning or whatever, that something that they posted wasn't didn't meet their fact check guidelines, or that they thought maybe not be true, and they got these notifications. And I'm really almost just about had it with that platform. If it's going to be, if they want to try and be the authority on facts and fact checking, for just as one example, think of the nutritional guidelines and nutrition advice given, when this ties right into today's topic, over the years of how everybody's diet's supposed to be low fat, and you're supposed to have 6 servings of grain a day, and so many different things that have since been proven that are not true, that those are proper guidelines for optimal health. And even things as far as for diabetes, they used to recommend, they recommended candy for diabetes, and there are recommendations for the amount of carbohydrates. A lot of this stuff, the recommendations on cholesterol, a lot of this stuff has changed. So your facts, there's more than likely people smarter than the fact checkers out there, or people that disagree, and rightfully so. So if they're going to be the gatekeepers on information, I think it's going to become problematic. As far as YouTube is concerned, it's a lot of the same thing. They're using everything that you say is going through a filter. So they're checking for certain words that either Jill or I are saying. If one of the words that comes up triggers an alert to them, they're going to review our content. They can give your content strikes, ban the content, take it down, things like that. And I just don't want to have to be putting out content, walking on eggshells, censoring ourselves. So I think it would be prudent of us to start looking for other I do like the formats because everybody's on them. It's the easiest way to reach people, YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. But it's good to have a backup plan. And I think some of these formats that we're looking into will actually end up being a little more user-friendly, and we might even be able to build a better, tighter, more informed community. So we'll keep you guys updated as that starts to roll out. So on to anything else, Joe?
The lean program details?
Sure, fire those away.
So our lean program is going to be, we actually have the in-person one that we've always been doing. That is going to be running starting March 28th. We have our same 5 time slots. Like Jeff said, it comes with the unlimited fast passes right along with it for the duration of the program. And we also have the, what do you call it? The incentive, accountability. What'd you call that?
So what we do is every week we try to incentivize people participation. It's not a weight loss incentive, it's a participation incentive. So we give away $50 a week in cash every week for the duration of the 8 weeks. So we end up giving out $400 in cash to people that prove to have the greatest participation on a weekly basis. So we have that, and then whichever group of our lean program groups um, participates the most at the end based on our criteria, we are going to let them design their own tank tops. And a matter of fact, my Saturday 8:30 a.m. group, the UEB Hustlers, won our last lean program and design tank tops, and I'm expecting to have those next week. So maybe I'll even bring one and show everybody the design they came up with, because I thought it was pretty cool. It's a nice black with hot pink print on the tank top. So those should be up and ready, assuming everything is operational and running smoothly. But so far it should be according to our.
Yeah, so it's I think our way of promoting consistency, and it's definitely
it's working.
Definitely, yeah, I would absolutely say so. Especially then we implemented a lean in between, where there was a unlimited option that was only available to our lean participants. So that's also something that people have the opportunity, a perk of being a member of the lean program is we try to also kind of give those programmers perks as well. We are going to be doing, this is going to be the first time that we're going to roll this out. It's called Lean on Screen. It is very similar to our in-person lean program in that we have 8 weeks of nutrition guidance. They're going to go right into the Facebook group with the other lean participants. So that way they're able to share the recipes. They're able to, get the support and everything that goes right along with that. And we're going to be using, it's called True Coach that, Jeff, I know you're very familiar with. But basically, the website gives us an opportunity to put together workouts, and they have the videos, like example videos. So if you're unsure of what an exercise is, it'll actually show you, and it has the video clip attached right to it. All of the nutrition and exercise programming is going to be catered to the individual and what they have at their disposal. So for somebody who maybe only, they don't have a gym membership, they only have at home, a space at home. The workouts will be all body weight and things that they have the capability of completing the workout at their house. If they have maybe some weights at home, we can incorporate the weights so they can do that at home. And if they do have also a gym membership, then we can create workouts and kind of cater to somebody who has a gym membership but still would like the workouts put together for them. So those are some of the benefits. We are going to be doing pictures and weekly weigh-ins to help with accountability. There are going to be...
If they so choose.
Yeah, if they choose. If they choose. Nobody has to do it for sure. But the options there, we're going to be doing weekly lifestyle focuses, and we're also going to be doing a weekly Zoom call with everybody that's just in the online programming, so we can kind of catch up, see how everybody's doing, have specific discussions, and see if there's any questions that anyone might need. So even though we're not physically able to meet, we're going to use the interactions through the computer space.
Yeah, it's a nice tool. This even just the way we're podcasting today, being able to do it. And so with the going back, like Jill said, with that True Coach, it's an app that the participants, you can obviously use from your laptop, but you can download to your phone. And this is one of the tools I use, like Jill mentioned, as part of a regular online training programs. But then you can just print your workout up and take it to the gym with you, and you have it, or you can just have it on your phone and find out what your exercise, your set, your reps, and look at your video right on your phone, so you're performing the exercise right. You can take it with you if you're traveling, which a lot of times during that 8-week period of the lean program, oftentimes we have people that travel for work, they have to go to hotels, sometimes people go on vacation. If you got it right with you, you can still stay on track wherever you go. There's no excuses.
Yeah, and then so there's going to be 3 workouts created per week. So at the end, it'll be a total of 24 workouts. So it gives people an opportunity to get multiple days in during the week. That's not just the one. They'll have 3 workouts per week, and to help kind of get their momentum going, or I don't know, maybe keep their momentum going when it comes to their consistency with their exercise.
Sure, and it could be customized if you only have 30 minutes and you just need a 30-minute at-home workout. You know, it doesn't have to be anything laborious. You can just, you know, fix you up with something that will you can knock out before the kids get home or whatever the case is.
Yeah, there's absolutely tons of options, like you said, too. I have all of those rush hour workouts. I have them and I save them, and they're excellent. They just, it's, the class is a favorite. So, you know, for somebody who maybe is under some time constraints, you can still get a good workout in that limited amount of time. So don't want anybody to feel like they have to have X, an hour to go to a gym, or they have to designate an hour to do anything. We absolutely can come up and cater within time constraints as well.
Okay. Should we get into the topic of the day, nutrition?
Yep.
Okay. So the first, when discussing nutrition, the first thing, and I would say the most important thing that needs to be talked about is context. So nutrition, for whom and what are you looking to accomplish with your nutrition plan? So somebody that's, looking to lose weight is going to have a specific approach, a specific approach to their nutrition, and different to somebody that's looking to either build muscle, looking to somebody that's going to be more athletic or sports performance orientated. So context, and this is where things I think sometimes get a little bit dicey. And when people argue about nutrition and what's right and what's wrong and what's optimal and what's not optimal, oftentimes aren't talking in the same context with each other. And most smart people, if you first set the parameters, set the context, the tone of the goal of the individual, then I would go so far as to say that 90% of the time, the nutrition starts to fall in line as a discussion. And there's maybe 5 to 10% that maybe people don't necessarily agree on because of personal experience, we'll say. Their personal experience or their experience with their clients, and they just think that a certain approach is a little bit better than maybe the other person. But that's 5 or 10%. And that doesn't even necessarily mean that one person's right or one person's wrong. Both approaches can still work. It's not a matter of right or wrong always. And then you just agree to disagree, and you use your protocols, and they use yours. The best way, if it was possible, would be to have 2 people with 2 different approaches to their nutrition. And if you had the same person, and you can have the same person experience both approaches under the same circumstances, and then see who got the better results. But that's impossible. It's impossible to do. You can't do that.
Yeah, so, even if you took the same person, even if you did take the same person, I mean, day-to-day circumstance with stressors, sleep, and everything else that come into play. I mean,
that's why I said it would have to be the same. You can't do that. So So what we have to do is first define some conditions. I think the most common is people want to recomposition their body. They want to lose body fat and maintain or build muscle. Very, very, very extremely hard to accomplish both those things at the same time, as far as which we've talked about in the past, of losing body fat and building muscle at the same time. There's very rare circumstances that a person can do both. So we would always recommend you do one or the other first accomplish what you set out to do, and then you can change your nutrition program to accomplish the latter. So let's assume that we are dealing with somebody that wants to lose body fat. That's a more common than somebody wanting to build muscle, at least with the general population that we deal with. Wouldn't you agree, Jill?
Yeah, I would say for the most part.
The majority. It's probably the larger swath of people that would be interested in nutrition. So there's a school of thought out there that it's all about caloric deficit, of eating less calories than you burn. And that's absolutely true. You have to be it goes without saying. It's impossible to do it any other way. That in order for a body to lose weight, namely, and we're shooting for losing body fat, not just losing, some body fat, some muscle, some connective tissue, some bone. We're talking about losing body fat. But to lose weight, it goes without saying that your body is full of all this stored energy. And that's what your body fat is. Your body fat is a bunch of stored energy in those fat cells. That if you want to reduce the size of your body, energy has to leave that system and make a smaller you. So there's going to be less energy stored in you. That's a given. Nobody in their right mind would argue that caloric deficit has to be created. What is arguable is how you go about doing that. In my opinion, it's an oversimplification of just turning weight loss into a math problem, of just saying, we're going to estimate that you need a certain number of calories. We'll say for easy numbers, say 2,000 calories to maintain your body weight. Again, we need context. We need to know, who are we talking about? Is it a male? Is it a female? How much do they weigh? How tall are they? How active are they? There's a lot of things that age, a lot of things that we would need to know. But let's just not get too specific and just say a person that can maintain their weight with 2,000 calories. That does not necessarily mean that in order for that person to lose weight, that we just need to merely make a caloric reduction. Say, drop it down to 1,800, 1,700 calories. Boom, problem solved, fixed. It's over. You're just going to lose weight until you decide that you no longer want to lose weight. What I would argue is that we can accomplish we can get the same weight loss by either making no reduction in calories or a smaller reduction in calories by changing the source of the calories. So and that's when I say not all calories are created equal. How your body is going to process the food and the calories that you consume is as important, possibly more important, than the actual number of calories. So I propose that with a proper change in diet, you can take a person with 2,000 calories. If you had the same exact person, you would be able to have that person lose weight with 2,000 calories, as opposed to having to reduce the calories to 1,800 or so, or whatever arbitrary number you pick to create that caloric deficit, because the source of the calories matter. One example that I would always use in the nutrition seminar that I used to do in person was, if we took Jill and we cloned Jill into Jill A and Jill B. And Jill A, we fed a diet, a 2,000 calorie diet of, we'll say, green vegetables and chicken and some lean meats and maybe just a little bit of starchy vegetable, but a pretty balanced whole food diet. And then we took Jill B, her clone version, and gave her a 2,000 calorie diet of just donuts and Pepsi. Still the same amount of calories. One ate pure sugar and fat, while the other one ate healthy proteins, fibrous carbohydrates, no added sugars, so on and so forth. So I'm really making an extreme exaggeration of two different extreme diets, which hopefully nobody would be following the donut and Pepsi diet. I would propose that even though the calories are the same, the Jill A is going to end up with better body composition, lower body fat, lose weight, healthier because than Jill B. Because the body has to be healthy first and foremost in order to lose weight. Less inflammation, better hormone control, overall health. As far as you got to remember, everything that you consume is going to give your body a physical reaction, an emotional reaction. It's going to affect how you think, how you sleep. It's more than just math. It's more than just numbers. It's going to be your complete emotional and physical state, how active you are. So we've got to remember things that affect weight loss and body composition, quality of sleep, duration of sleep, your physical activity. How are you going to perform in the gym? You may do the same exact workout, but my money is going to be that Jill A on the whole food balanced diet is going to have better performance in the gym than Jill B on donuts and Pepsi. How is that going to affect the amount of calories that she burns throughout the day, her energy levels throughout the day? Is she going to be Jill B going to be on a roller coaster, having to nap in the middle of the day because her insulin's going up, her blood sugar's going up and down? She's cranky, she's miserable. Or is Jill A, who is my lovely Jill, who never gets that way, going to be performing high in the gym, good energy, well balanced and throughout the day, being more active, and by design, through having better energy and better sleep, burning more calories, better metabolism, and her body composition improving. So when it comes down to it, now I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I had a friend of mine, Brian Sperduti, who's a big advocate of calories in, calories out. We did a podcast together, not a podcast, just a Facebook Live not too long ago. And as we were discussing these things, we were in 100% full agreement that the food quality matters. We were discussing how even though somebody's calories, somebody's trying to lose weight and we're monitoring how much they're eating, we're monitoring their carbs, fats, protein, total calorie intake. Sometimes we need to change the food source. It could be just changing something like a protein bar, taking a protein bar out of their diet that maybe has like sugar alcohols in it or different types of sweeteners and artificial products in it, and replacing it with something else. And then all of a sudden their weight loss that was previously stalled starts again because we changed the source. Things like diet sodas that have no calories in them. We've both discussed having instances of working with people that once we remove that from the person's diet, then all of a sudden previously stalled weight loss starts again. And now you gotta remember, 0 calories. I'm talking about diet soda. So all this stuff makes the case, in my opinion, that again, it can't just be about the calories. That's an oversimplification.
Sure.
Another example is, again, I'm gonna use Kristen, who's competing, which we just talked about earlier, prepping for competition. As things were moving along, everything's going along great, no problem. We're on point. We're hitting all our weight loss marks, week in, week out. Boom. Okay, we hit a little snag in the road. Next week, a little bit snag. We're not all right. Okay, we gotta figure out what's going on here. We have enough time. I have buffers built in as far as if we hit snags, but we can't lose another week. We need to make a little progress next week for sure to get back on track. What's going on? She's chewing 6 packs of gum a day. Remember, she's low on food, and this I've had this with other competitors before too, or they're just constantly all day chewing gum.
Oh, yeah.
It might not sound like much, but there are artificial sweeteners in there. There's more than likely some low calories which will add up.
It's like 5 calories per stick, but
I'll
you eat an entire pack. I mean,
packs.
oh, I know.
Plural.
I was there. That was me too.
But even besides the calories, and there's no way of knowing for sure, but you have to remember, once you start to chew, chewing is the first step of digestion. When you're chewing, you're salivating, right? You're starting the digestive process. Your body can start producing insulin in response to the chewing because your body is so primed from the day that you were born that it knows when that process starts, food is coming in, and your body does what is known as a first wave insulin response, where it releases insulin even before the sugar gets into the system, because like Pavlov's dog, it knows what's coming and it's priming up your digestive system, even though you're not really eating anything, you're just chewing gum. So those are things that you gotta remember, once insulin is released, your body goes into a storing phase. You cannot you're not burning fat, you're not releasing fat from your fat cells when insulin is being released from the pancreas. That's a storing phase. Your body is priming itself to take that stored energy, whatever you're not going to burn through movement and exercise and just regular body maintenance, it's going to have to put that energy somewhere. It's going to either store it into your liver, your muscle cells, or your fat cells. But what it can't do are both things at the same time. It can't store it and then also shuttle it out of your fat cells simultaneously. And think of it like a one-way door. The door is either open, it either opens to let the fat out, or the insulin is pushing the nutrients in. It's a one-way valve. So that constant chewing all day long, pack after stick after pack after gum, you're shutting off your body, even though you're not eating anything because you're very low on calories. Your body is going to be constantly in a storing phase, not a burning phase. So that's one thing, again, where it's not going to come down to calories. So we fixed that. We removed that. Wouldn't you know it? Next week, weight loss, like clockwork. The other thing we had to watch for is there was little Mio things that you put in the water. It like flavors the water and it colors it. So it's regular water. It's just
with the dyes.
Yeah, I think it's called. Yeah, it's just like a little thing you drop in. It might be like a couple calories.
Yeah.
You put it in a bunch of water just to give it a little bit of flavor. The same thing. You're getting that flavor. Your body thinks, if it's, let's say it's strawberry flavored, your body thinks strawberries are coming. What are strawberries? Carbohydrates. It's sugar. So what is your body going to do? It's going to prepare for that sugar. So the same thing. Sorry, I got to do this. You got no Mio. No flavoring in your water. Get the artificial flavors out. No more gum chewing. Obviously, it was tough.
You're a fun killer.
I was a fun killer, but we that was like a last resort. I didn't have to dig that deep. And most of the time, people can get away with that for forever. But when you're looking to, like somebody in a competitor's case, where you're really looking to get that body fat down to really low levels, those are those little things that you're going to have to dig a little deeper. Tweaks. But the point of the whole scenario is that it's not just about the calories. And again, I think if laid out in this fashion, you're going to get most people to agree that is the case. I think, and at least that's my experience, but look, how long would that take me? 10 minutes to explain? So or is it just easier to say calories in, calories out? You got to reduce your calories, because it's true that in order to lose weight, there has to be what are calories? Calories is just a unit of measurement of energy. So there has to be a reduction of energy in the system. In the system, energy has to be removed to make the body smaller. It's a given. It's almost like you don't even have to say calories in versus calories out. It's nonsensical because it's just a given. So we don't really talk in those terms, calories in, calories out a lot. And Jill and I, we focus first and foremost, let's focus on food quality. Because most of the time when you change the quality of the food and you put higher quality food in, your body is going to react more positively to it. You're going to have that better hormone control. You're going to have all those things that I laid out are going to work in your favor, and you start to get better body composition and weight loss by default. Now, you can still overeat good food and healthy food. That's absolutely true. You can put too much energy into the system and not get weight loss, even though it's good energy.
Sure.
So I know a lot of times people don't want to demonize foods, like there's no bad foods. Yes, if you want to be a calorie counter, you can make it work with junk food in your diet, but you're going to have to micromanage it and make sure that you are constantly staying in a reduced caloric state.
Sure.
The problem with that I, again, through my experience. So again, if you're discussing with somebody who's an advocate of calories in versus calories out, I would have to defer to not only my personal experience, but my experience with clients for 176 and a half years, that when you add those and you try to manage junk food in somebody's diet, it's very hard for many people to not go into to overeat, for one thing. Most of those foods do not provide satiety.
Right.
To eat it, they're not going to feel full. They're going to want to eat more. If somebody has a little bit of a sweet tooth, it's going to set them off, and they're going to be having cravings. So the food quality plays even a bigger role from a psychological level.
For sure.
And just one more thing. Just one more. From a psychological vantage point, and I've used this example before in the past too. Let's take something like coffee. If we took your daughter, Aubrey, how much does Aubrey weigh?
52 pounds.
52 pounds. She's a peanut. Give her a glass of water. Give her a glass of water. Give her a glass of orange juice. All the same thing. 16 ounces of water, 16 ounces of orange juice, 16 ounces of Starbucks coffee. Right? No, bad example. I shouldn't, because no. Forget the orange juice, because there's calories in the orange juice. Let's take water and coffee, right?
Jesus, take the wheel.
Right. Think about what a 16-ounce coffee whipping through that little body, she would be radical, right? And it has, so her behavior would change, her energy levels would change, I know myself when I have too much coffee. I talk faster. Sometimes even if I'm training and I'm over caffeinated, I've had people boot camps, because Sunday morning I like to get amped up a little bit. People go, Jesus, how much coffee did you have this morning? Because now I'm talking fast. We're going to do this, that, the other. Let's go. Bam. And like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
You react different. You're going to think different. Your emotions are going to be different. So now let's take Aubrey again. I don't think we have to really detail how much different she would be reacting and behaving with water and coffee. Let's take another young person, small person, and give them the orange juice, right? So let's say it's 100 calories worth of orange juice, whatever that may be, maybe 8 ounces. And let's give them 8 ounces or 100 calories worth of bourbon. Somebody that doesn't drink, somebody that's young, not accustomed to alcohol. Think of the difference in their behavior from sugar from orange juice, which is almost the equivalent to Pepsi without the caffeine.
Yeah.
Right? We know how kids get on sugar.
Right.
Right? They get amped up. They get radical.
Yeah, they get screwy.
They get screwy. Now picture, which I can't imagine, but imagine somebody that's not used to alcohol getting like 2 shots or a shot, ounce and a half of whiskey. Their brain is gonna be scrambled.
I can't even imagine it. I really can't even imagine it.
I know. I wouldn't want to see it.
No.
So everything that you're putting into your body, you got to look beyond just calories. What's the effect on? Start right with how you think, how you react, how you perceive things. And if you are constantly feeding your body day in and day out on junk food, I'm not going to pick anyone. We don't have to define junk food, do we? I don't think we do. I think people know what highly processed,
I think just
a lot of additives, fillers, artificial colors, artificial flavors, things that come in boxes, bags, and cans, and that have shelf lives of forever and a day. That is going to start to take its toll on not only on your physical body, but your mind, your mental and emotional state. It just is. And it's
so I think, part of the problem with it is with that is I don't think that people know how bad they feel until they see how good they can feel.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
This living where they are in that maybe, I don't even want to say unstable, but in whatever emotional, mental state or frame of mind that they're in, they don't realize how much better that it actually can be because it's become their normal. Or they think that, they don't necessarily correlate the food with how they're thinking, feeling, or anything along those lines. They're attributing it into, and I'm sure that it also is there's a factor that comes into play, but it's sleep and stress and who ticked them off today, or, anything along those lines. And not nobody, but many don't kick it to their nutrition. And they think that that feeling like crap, that's normal, that's just, it is what it is. And it doesn't have to be that way. And I think until you take the steps to make the dietary changes, you're living in that space and you really haven't started to see how you can thrive in any end until you get yourself, even if you give it, start even with 2 weeks. I think if you start with a month, it's great, but start with 2 weeks. And sometimes that's even difficult for people to even get to that point. But to start with 2 weeks, and then you'll start to see like, oh my gosh, maybe I have some more energy, or maybe my anxiety is lessened, or maybe don't have such a short fuse, and I have a little bit more patience. Maybe I'm able to go to sleep a little bit easier. And by making those changes, then they start to see that, you really don't have to feel as crappy as people do feel.
Yeah, I think the problem is that you don't realize until you actually.
Oh yeah, you don't know until you know.
Yeah, until you know.
Oh.
So that's all well and good, but so what do you do? What do we recommend? How do you get started? I think one of the easiest ways is to just start removing the processed foods out of the diet. And especially if it comes to body composition, the first place I like to usually start is sugar, the added sugars, making some overall reduction in carbohydrates, depending on again, we need context. What's the person been eating? But I like to use that as a lever mechanism. So if I was setting up somebody's a nutrition program for weight loss, I generally like to keep protein pretty steady, a static number. So if we were talking in terms of macronutrients, let's say I was setting up approximately a 2,000 calorie diet. Let's say it's for an average, say an average size male like myself that's going to be physically active. We're going to go for some some weight loss, start with 2,000 calories. Always fluid, subject to change. We can move everything up, move it down. But I would set, let's say, 150 grams of protein, which is going to be 600 calories of your 2,000. Keep that steady. We're going to try to just set one nice anchor. So every day, that's what you're shooting for, about 150 grams of protein. Then I would take, I think in terms of carbohydrates of general, and again, this is very general. Generally speaking, if you were going to take your carbohydrates, peel them all the way down to like 25 grams. Now that's usually a ketogenic type approach that you'd be doing. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to go that extreme. So then I would say low carbohydrates would be between 50 and 100 grams a day. And I would start somewhere in between there. So let's say, we'll say 70, start the person off at 75 grams of carbohydrates, which is pretty darn low. But that's the approach we're going to take. We're going to take a low carbohydrate approach. So 75 grams with 4 calories in each. That's going to be another, it's going to be 75, that's 150, 300 calories. So you have 300 calories in carbohydrates. You have 600 calories in protein. That's 900. You have 1,100 calories left. And I would get the rest of those 1,100 calories from fat. So there's 9 calories per gram of fat. So you take 1,100, divide it by 9, which is
122.
122. Thank you. So that would be your starting macronutrient profile. You'd be looking at 150 grams of protein a day, 122 calories of fat a day, 75 grams of carbohydrates a day. Most people, if I follow that, I'm dropping weight. I'm shredding weight right away. Right away, yeah. Gonna get some pretty good weight loss. Now it might be too aggressive, might be too much weight coming off too quick, and sure, we can start to add to those numbers. So what would I be looking for next? Well, depending on how much the person works out, how are they recovering? If they're not recovering well enough between workouts, we might have to up that protein a little bit.
Yeah.
If their energy, if they're just not performing well in their energy, so we might need to add some more carbohydrates, boost that up a little bit. So we got these levers, but generally, if I could, I'd like to keep that protein the same, the fat the same, and we can play with that carbohydrates up and down depending on the results that we're getting. Or if we needed to make a reduction, what I would do is then I would start reducing from the fat. If that was too much, if that profile was too much for somebody, we're not getting anywhere, then I would keep your carbohydrates the same, your protein static, and we have 122 grams of fat to play with.
Yeah.
We can start peeling some of that off to make an energy reduction. And that would be, it's not that hard, but you need information.
Yeah.
And that person would be required to be tracking their food. You'd have to do that day in and day out, whether you wrote it down or you used some form of application to do that. But if you give us that information, it's going to be real easy for us to help you to do it. If you're not doing that,
it's impossible.
It's going to be a lot of guesswork involved.
Yeah. I mean, and I've had people on both ends who literally will send me their food logs day after day after day. And then I've had other people come in and they're like, oh, I thought I did all right, or, I thought I did good this week and the scale didn't move the way that they wanted to, just as a quick example. And I'm like, well, it's really difficult for me to make any kind of speculation, because that's all it would be. It like a blinded speculation as to where some of the problems could have been, because I have no idea what they did. They don't, and honestly, and I think if we're all honest with ourselves, generally speaking, if you're not tracking your food, you don't really remember necessarily everything that you've eaten, because, even the girls they'll have, I don't know, what are they at, a popcorn and, a handful of little things here and there. You don't realize that it adds up. And, those 5 M&Ms that you had, and then you had, I just had 1 chocolate chip cookie, and, whatever else be the case. But everything starts to add up. And from where you thought that you were, you did all right, maybe there were some things that you could have scaled back on or made some changes. So if we don't have some kind of journaling, whether it's through a straight up handwritten, or maybe you documented through your phone, or if you're using one of the tracking apps, then it's really difficult for us to give any kind of advice as to what is going right or wrong.
Another thing that can be done in changed in the example that I used is if a person didn't necessarily want to, and again, depending on the individual, say taking on 75 carbohydrates is just way too low, way too radical for what they're used to. Let's say they are a construction worker, somebody that has high energy output, physical output throughout the day. Then the next level I would take them up to is between 100 and 150 grams of protein, which I would call moderate.
Of carbohydrates?
Carbohydrates, I would say between 100 and 150 would be moderate. And if we do that, then we would take the fat levels down to take some of those calories and move them into that carbohydrate count. Rarely for weight loss, but I have done it, and I have done it for myself before too, is I've taken the what I would call a high carbohydrate diet of 150 grams or more. I generally use the parameter of anything over 150 grams for the general population is a high carbohydrate diet. So because I'd have to take those carbohydrates up, then again, where would the reduction come from? I would lower the fat and keep the protein static. So you're always kind of just shifting things a little bit back and forth till you find that right mix of fuel for the person in which they can look, feel, and perform at their best. Now, another thing that we've talked about a lot when it comes to food sources is avoiding certain foods. And a lot of the general categories of things that we recommend maybe avoiding are grains, dairy, and legumes. Again, you have to stay fluid with it. Some people respond terribly to those different food sources. Some people seem to do okay with them. I think in general, most people have at least some low-grade inflammation to grains. Some people have high inflammation to them. But again, if the individual can tolerate them, then yeah, you can use them. Is it optimal? I don't think so. Would you do better off without them? I think so. Is that one of the factors that Jill talked about where people have become accustomed to feeling maybe just a little bit inflamed, a little bit achy in the joints, a little bit sluggish because they have that low-grade inflammation from eating grains? I would speculate so. Remove them and replace them. So even something as simple as replacing your whole grain bread, maybe with sweet potato, carbohydrate for carbohydrate. I think even though you're eating the same amount of carbohydrates, but the food source change, all of a sudden you're going to feel better. You may have less inflammation. And then you go from feeling so-so to having that better energy, feeling better, and then realizing, wow, I didn't think I could feel this good. And all we did was change the food source. Not all, because that's pretty significant. Same thing with dairy. A lot of people have some intolerances to dairy. I know I do. I have intolerances to the grains, the dairy, and the legumes. But it depends. The poison is in the dose. So I can generally do butter, heavy cream in my coffee, if I so choose, without any real negative effects. I can eat a little bit of cottage cheese, no negative effects. I eat too much of it, and I get real mucousy. I get the nose, the swelling around the eyes, all that, and stuffy, just congested. And I know it's clearly from the dairy. Lactose intolerance, right? You're not digesting those sugars well. It's inflammation, so on and so forth. So you have to, maybe you have those same dairy intolerances, but you eat it so consistently and haven't gone a long enough period of time without it that, again, like Jill said earlier, you don't realize how good you can feel because you've got accustomed to feeling just suboptimal for so long that's become your new normal. So definitely something that we like to have people at least entertain the idea of changing those food sources. Same thing with the legumes and the soy, even things like peanuts and certain beans. Plenty of examples of people that, I mean, beans, they taste good. Mexican food is fantastic, right? But how do you feel after you ate it? Are you bloated? Are you gassy? Are you just, again, lethargic, inflamed? All those things. If the answer is yes, then those foods are probably less than optimal for you. If you're eating them on a consistent basis and you're just used to being gassy and bloated and achy in the joints, then again, like Jill said, you've probably grown accustomed to feeling and performing suboptimally to the point where that's become your new normal. Give it a shot. Let's take some of these foods out. Let's see how you look, feel, and perform without them. You be the judge. Then it becomes your choice. Then if you know that you felt better without them and you choose to put them back in. I've had people choose to put them back in, and I get it, because they're tasty. You want to try them, and that's fine. I don't think anybody's asking you to give something up forever and never even have a taste of it again. But you know what you're in for, and you got nobody to blame but yourself if you make that choice.
Yeah, you know what you did.
You know what you did. I've heard many people make those choices again consistently. And you can see them ruining their health, ruining their body composition, and justifying just through a million, your mind will play tricks on you to try to justify your behavior, especially when it comes to nutrition. And I call, oftentimes I refer to that as cognitive dissonance. You're just denying reality. It's happening, the scale's going up, you know how you feel, you know how your clothes are starting to fit, you know you're tired all the time, you know you can't get to the gym because you just don't have the energy and you just don't have the will to get under those weights because you feel less than good from the diet. Your sleep is off, the anxiety is coming back, you're feeling depressed, and everything just starts snowballing downhill.
Yeah.
And you are choosing to ignore something that you know has worked for you in the past. You know that by changing your diet has resolved a lot of those issues, and you're just you're not helping yourself.
Right.
So I mean, those are some pretty broad parameters, but they work. It's a starting point. We can't get into much more detail than that because everybody's situation and scenario is going to be different.
Absolutely.
We could line up 10 different people and just like almost have a consultation, and our advice and recommendation is going to be different for every person, depending on what their situation is, what their goals are, who they are.
Well, and that's I think what's also good about the Lean program is that we have the opportunity to come up with a game plan with each person depending on what they're looking to accomplish. And sometimes, to be completely honest, we can start really just at the very basic of saying, remove the grains, start with the sugars. And even over the 8 weeks, they're able to consistently be successful. If their goal is weight loss, they're able to consistently be successful just in doing something like that, because maybe they've just not done anything like that before. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But what's good about it is that it is set up so it is individualized, and we're able to have the opportunity to speak with each individual and come up with a game plan. And we're not giving everybody some cookie cutter version of anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not just some generic, we ripped this out of a magazine or swiped it off or wherever and are saying this is what all 75 of you should do.
Yeah, for sure. I would encourage, especially if anybody, obviously anybody that's in the lean program, but if you're working with a trainer, if you're doing personal training or group training, that you want to take advantage of that. You hired them for a reason. You joined the program for a reason. Make sure that you set that up. And if you're struggling with it, use us, use your trainer, use who you're working with as a resource to help you. They should be able to guide you through, towards your goal. I mean, obviously you have to execute it.
Sure.
You're going to have to, like I said, if it's a lot of times it's like, we need more information. You've got to get us more information, bring it back to us. That's on you. You do that and we can easily help you with it.
Yeah. And that's something that people have to remember too, is that it essentially, at the end of the day, it's on them. We could tell them until we are purple everything that we know, but if it's not being executed by the client when they go home, there's nothing that we can do. If they're like, yeah, well, I know that we talked about doing this, but then this came up and I wanted to go do this and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Sorry, man, I got nothing for you. I can't, nobody, we can't help you then. Like, we're there as almost like tour guides, sort of.
Yeah.
And, and I mean, that might be one of the best analogies, as it really is. It's like being a tour guide, but when it comes down to it, you got to decide, like, all right, are you doing this? Are you doing this or not? And don't be afraid. I always tell people, don't be afraid to ask questions. I would always rather somebody ask a question and for me to either give them an answer, or if I don't know the answer, try to find a way to figure it out and but you can't just keep going blindly. Like,
no, the more you know, you'll be more engaged.
Absolutely.
If you can wrap your brain around why you're doing what you're doing,
absolutely,
it'll help.
Well, yeah, for sure. And even a lot of the time when talking to people, I try to, even when it comes to the exercise, and I know that we talked about this last week, people like to know not just what they're doing, but why they're doing it, because it'll give you more reason to actually then follow through with it, instead of just being told, like, you need to do this. No, well, this is the reasoning behind it. This is the science behind it. This is, potentially how you could be successful. Maybe this is why we need to change, whatever you're doing, and giving the explanation behind it, so there's an understanding as to, like you said, the why.
I know that, like I said, I know that was pretty general and broad, but I think it's enough to give people a pretty good taste of how we like to approach things, and a pretty good starting point. And of course, if anybody wants to work with us, they know how to reach us, and the Lean program registration is still open. You can find all our information on our website, uevolvebuffalo.com. Don't forget, leave us a Facebook review. We'll pick one of our favorite reviews each week, and we will give away a keychain each week, at least for a little while longer, while I still have some, and we always announce the winners within the first 5 minutes of the podcast. Let's do, next week, let's do part 4. Let's talk about mindfulness.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, everyone, stay safe out there, and we'll talk to you guys soon.